Hey there everyone, Coach Ryan, and I'm going to show you today how to replace the battery on your Garmin 305. The Garmin 305 Forerunner is, in my opinion, the best watch that Garmin ever made. It might feel to some people like it is a very heavy watch and it's large, but for me in terms of performance, I've used it for 3 years and it was absolutely fantastic. And what I noticed was about 6 months ago it started to really lack in battery life, so it only lasts about 2 hours or 3 hours and then it would die. So I found a great article online, and just with some DIY work I was able to fix it. So I wanted to show you guys how to do it. So basically what you're going to need to start is a couple different tools, and I'll go over them as we go. The first thing you're just going to need is a utility knife. What you're going to do is you're going to slice around the outside of the Garmin on the edge here, and you're going to get this like brown putty out, and that's what's holding the Garmin essentially together. Once you get a good seal, so you're going to make sure you cut it nice and you're going to see the pieces come out. What you're going to do is get a little bit of a screwdriver, or you can just use the edge of this, and you're going to pry it open. And you're going to want to pry it open down here by the bottom of the Garmin, lock. And what you're going to do is when you get it and you pry it open, you're going to pry it off, all right? And it's going to come out in 2 pieces. All right, I've already fixed the battery, so I'm going to show you guys how to do it. It's going to come out in 2 pieces. This you just discard and put to the side. All right, the battery that comes out of the Garmin looks like this. All right, it's blue. And the battery that I found, I'll post a link underneath in the video, was an iPod mini battery. And it was like $4 off Amazon, and it was great. So what you're going to do is you're going to get this battery out, you're going to pry it out. It has a little bit of sealant or double-sided tape underneath, depending on the model. You're going to pry it out, and then you're going to cut the wires with just a normal pair of wire cutters. Right? You're going to cut the wires pretty close to the end of the battery so that you can have as much wire left as you need. And you're going to strip down the ends of the wire, and you're going to have essentially 2 bare ends of the wire. You're going to do the same thing for the iPod mini battery. If you get the iPod mini battery that I have, it comes with a white extra part of the cable, so it'll be black, red, and white. You can cut the white off, you don't need it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to need to solder the wires together. You can get a basic soldering iron. Soldering is actually very easy, and then just a little bit of electrical solder. You put the wires together, you hook them together like this. You put a little bit of solder in, and you can put a little bit of heat sink in too to protect the wires. I don't have any, and I wasn't really worried about it. So once you solder the wires together, you need to put the battery on. So I used a little bit of Gorilla Glue, put it underneath, clamped it down, and let it sit for a couple hours, and now the battery's not going anywhere. At this point now you can test it. If you have the charger that comes with your Garmin, what you can do is you can put the top of the Garmin together, and you're going to have to hold it down because the connections between the 2 pins at the top are what makes the Garmin charge. So this will send the electrical from the battery into the unit. And so if it doesn't have pressure to put the pins here to here, you won't get a charge. So what you're going to do is you're going to need to get your dock, put it on, hold it down, and plug it in. And if you plug it in, the battery is charging, and you can actually turn it on. So even though mine's not hooked together completely, I can turn it on. Now if I let go, it'll turn off because the connection isn't there, and I can pull it apart and it'll turn off. Okay, so put it on your cradle, or you can put it together. The battery will have some juice, and if you did it right, it'll turn on. Now, in order to sort of seal the deal, you're going to use a little bit of sealant. I just got some silicone sealant from an automotive store, and you're going to put sealant around the edges. Make sure your sealant's waterproof, and that's going to help maintain the waterproof, maintain that seal so that water doesn't get into it. You're going to put the silicone on. You can either use clothespins or alligator clamps or something like that. I'm going to use electrical tape when I'm done. I'm going to electrical tape it up, let it sit about a day, and then you'll be all set and you'll be back in business with your Forerunner. I know that there's been some threads and some people talking as the truck goes by my place, that what you might see is some of the pins are corroded on top here, and so you might need to get a little bit of a Q-tip and clean off those pins. But in terms of mine, after 3 years and using it in all different sorts of conditions, it really held up well, which is why I wanted to fix it. And then once I apply the sealant and apply the tape, it'll be good to go.
Hey everyone, Coach Ryan with a little bit of a follow-up from that 305 video. It's a year later. This is a 305 that was in the video, and I've used it flawlessly since then. It gets about 10.5 hours of continuous use. I can use it for really, almost a week straight without even charging it. I tend to always throw it on the cradle, but it works fantastic. Since I've shot that video, it's been probably the best thing that I've done, considering it cost me like $30 in total with buying the soldering iron and the things I didn't have. So it was a fantastic job. I've gotten a few more of them and done replacements for them as well. One of the guys I met here in Boston, I showed him the material to use, and he did it, and he fixed up his 205, which was similar. One thing that's been happening that's been a little odd is if I put it on the cradle, 2 or 3 times it's just died on me. It's completely blank, and I've left it for about a day, and then I've been able to reboot it. So I think what might be happening is inside with the pins, some of the pins might be corroding a little bit. So I might have to take it open here in the next year or so and fix it, but I really don't have an issue now. If I leave it for a day, it'll come back. But since I've had the ability to do it with 2 more now, I have 2 more that are kind of sitting around that I use as well. And I get the same thing. And I get about 10.5 hours of life with the battery that's inside, depending on the coverage. So if you have your 305, follow the steps and get it done. If you have any questions, you can email me, Ryan@milestogoendurance.com. Have a good day and happy fixing your 305.